Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice, and we have quite possibly one of my favorite topics today. I love talking about growing businesses, scaling businesses the right way, but there's a lot to that, right? It's not just like you flip a switch and you grow your business overnight. But more importantly than that, we're going to figure out how to do it the right way and where founders get stuck at different levels. I have an amazing guest with me, and we're going to dive in and unpack this and hopefully fix your scaling issues in like 15 minutes. I don't know. Let's see if we can do it. Scott Ritzheimer, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Brandon, thanks so much. I always get this kind of moment of anticipation right about now because I was listening to a podcast like this and you'd think 15 minutes, what can that possibly change other than a Geico commercial? And it actually totally transformed my life. I owe what I do today, the success I had both in scaling and exiting my business, to a podcast very much like this. And I hope that it proves to be equally as valid for someone listening here today.
Well, my hope is that someone says that about this very episode, and I'm just here to ask the questions, but I think you can change somebody's perspective, at least in 15 minutes, which really that's all it takes to shift their path, to ask better questions. That's what we're all about on the show. Ask better questions so you can scale your business. And I think you have a very unique concept. So we talked before we started recording about different levels of scaling, and I want to get there, but when we have to address the overall issue, right? Scaling your business. I said it's not a light switch. It's not that simple. There are things you need to do, but what do people get wrong first and foremost when they think about scaling their business?
Yeah. So there's this anecdote I like to share. So imagine we're coming up on football season here pretty soon. We'll use a football analogy. Imagine it's the big game, right? Championship game. You're down by 4. There's 4 seconds left. You're on the 4-yard line. It's 4th down. Like, you got to get in. That's what it boils down to. If you get in, you win. If you don't get in, you lose. So you know exactly what to do. You've got the perfect play. You've practiced it 1,000 times. It's a fake to the running back and then a toss to your star wide receiver in the end zone. And so you call the play. Everybody lines up. And it kind of hits you at this moment that it's different this time. Because this time, instead of getting the ball in your hands, you're the coach on the sideline calling the plays. But you're not actually the one running them. And it comes with perks. We can probably get into that in a little bit later. But the best you can do at this point is just kind of hope that your folks have got it, right? Hope that hope that you made the right call, hope that you trained them enough. And just kind of stand there with bated breath. So you're holding your breath. The ball's hiked, gets back to the quarterback, fake to the running back, and it works. The defense bites, everyone collapses on the hole, and it's just picture perfect, exactly what you would want. And as you pan to the left, the hint of a smile that had started to creep on your face because the play was working disappears in an instant because you see your star quarterback got the play wrong and they're blocking instead of running to the end zone. So as a coach on the sideline, what do? You take off. I mean, you just book it down the sideline. The headset goes flying, the clipboard hits an assistant coach, right? They'll study the physics on this for years because no one knows how you made it down that much field that quickly. But somehow, at the very last nanosecond, you get in, you jump in 2 feet in the end of the end zone, make the diving catch. And you expect the crowd to go wild, right? That's what they've done for most of your career to this point. And instead, what is it? Silence. You could hear a pin drop. 80,000 people, millions watching online. No one has any idea what just happened. The only thing happening is these little yellow flags are starting to fly in your direction and men in black and white stripes are running at you, right? And not only did your catch not seal the victory for your team, it guaranteed your defeat, right? What used to be a crowning accomplishment of your career is now a penalty. Worse than that, it's the shame of your team. It's the laughingstock of your city. By crossing the boundary of the sideline, right? It's one of the benefits that sports coaches have, is that there is a big, giant, fat, white line that says "do not cross," essentially, right? But by crossing that line, you not only you fail to secure the victory by jumping in and saving the day. You didn't save the day. You guaranteed that your team was going to lose. And never has this happened in the history of championship American football, right? Like, it's just ludicrous to think of it happening. There's probably some like Instagram video of a dad doing this. It's like Little League at some point in time. I'll have to find one. It'd be really funny, but it doesn't happen in the sports world because of those boundary lines, right? But I can tell you from working with well-meaning, right, and very successful founders and CEOs, it happens every single day in our businesses. As founder and CEO, who's going to tell you what the boundary line is that you can't cross, right? How do you know what that line is? And so what happens is, either by virtue of the fact that we don't know that it's there, or just because we're doing what we've always done, we break the rules of the game, right? And in doing so, we cause our team to be frustrated. We end up getting hurt in the process, right? Because you shouldn't have run that fast. So you're laying there on the ground like sore and thinking, why does it have to be so hard? And there's folks listening to that, and they're thinking that, why is this business? Oh, it's just business is hard. It's like, no, it's not actually. You're making it hard by not playing your position. You're making it hard by not recognizing your role. And so what happens in the business world, even for folks who are out there looking for answers, we're so focused on where we're going that we're seldom clear on where we actually are. And if you don't know where you are, you'll very rarely get to where you're trying to go.
I love the analogy, first of all, and the story. The story was impeccable, and hysterical. But what I also hear with that is that coach is going to get fired on Monday morning. They're going to get let go because they're really not in charge of the team. Uh, if that happens in your small business, you're going to keep your job because you're the owner or you're the founder, but you're going to start to lose talent because when you interject and you get in front of highly skilled people who you've trained and empowered to do their job and you start doing it for them, they start to leave because they get pissed off. So there's an even bigger risk, in my opinion, if for doing that for in the small business world rather than sports outside of the little yellow hankies that are going to get thrown on the field. But help me identify then, because that's an important concept to understand, that there's much bigger consequences, yet we still do this anyway. Most people do. I was highly triggered because I've done that in the past. So thank you for that. But how do we identify where we are and what we should be doing as founders based on our current company scale and size?
Yeah. So the first thing that we have to recognize is, let me put it this way. So let's say you go out, you're going to start your business. What's one of the first things we do? People don't do this as much anymore, but there's still some, right? We go out and get business cards made. It's like you have to have a logo, a website, and a business card. I don't know when the last time you've actually seen a business card is, right? I think it was like 2014, but we get them made nonetheless. But here's where I'm going with this. What's the title on that business card? It's usually some form of founder and CEO, right? And here's the somewhat hard truth about that, and massively liberating truth, is you don't actually act like a CEO until 5 stages later. There are 5 monumental, highly distinct transitions, once you know what to look for, that dramatically reshape how you show up as a founder moving through. So let's make this simple. There are 7 different stages. I'm not going to go through all of them, what they are, but to extend our sports metaphor here and kind of give us something to see, to touch, and to kind of get an idea of what these stages are, I've compared each one of them in my book to a position on a sports team. So the very first one, I call it the startup entrepreneur, and it's the trainee on the sideline, right? Before you launch your business, your job is not to launch your business as quickly as possible. It's to learn how to launch your business as effectively as possible. So that when you get into the game, that's stage 2. I call it the startup entrepreneur. It's like you're ready to be a star player. right? From day one, you're out of the gate. You're not worrying about all the other stuff. You're just getting it done. This is where a lot of shows that teach you how to sell and market and deliver whatever it is that you do. Those are all important. Those are vitally important at that stage. So, what happens at this stage is that the more successful you are as a player, the faster you are thrust into the next stage. Unfortunately, the skills that it takes to succeed as a player are not the same skills that are needed to succeed at the next stage. So, stage 3, which is where I'd imagine a lot of your audience is based on our conversation ahead of time, is what I call the reluctant manager. And here's what makes this stage so hard. Number one, nobody started a business for the purpose of becoming a manager, right? Like that's not on anybody's dream board, right? It's just, that's not, there are much easier ways of becoming a manager than starting your own business to do it. So most of us, it's not really our vision for our company is to be a manager. We don't really feel well equipped to it. And that brings us to the second point, which is the more effective you are as a star player, the harder it is to make the transition to the new set of skill sets that you need as the equivalent, the captain on the field. That's what stage 3 is all about, is being an effective captain on the field. That's the second reason why it's so hard, is that you are still in the game, right? You're trying to lead other people while, like, to use our football analogy, grown men that weigh twice as much as you are trying to take your head off, right? Like it's a contact sport. Being an entrepreneur, being a reluctant manager is a contact sport. And so you're sitting there thinking, I have my job to do, and now I'm having to tell all these yahoos what to do. Right. And so that captain on the field mode, it's a different skill set. It looks like being a star player, but how you create success is not about how you create success anymore. It's how we create success. Next, from there, we move to being the coach on the sideline. That's where we picked up our story earlier on. We actually get off the field. We're not necessary to sell stuff anymore. We're not necessary to deliver stuff anymore. And to an extent, we're not even necessary to administer all of that. We've surrounded ourselves with a team who are doing that. And instead of being out there on the field doing stuff or jumping across the sideline and interrupting stuff, we're now in a position of coaching our team on how to succeed. So it's the coach on the sideline. It's not, we're at stage 4 now. We still haven't got to CEO yet, right? Then the 5th stage is the CEO stage. That's where we really step into a level of complexity as an organization, a level of maturity as a leader, a level of skill in your direct reports who aren't just, people helping you do whatever needs to get done, but are good executives, leaders in their own right. To be chief executive, you have to have other executives, right? You can't be chief executive if you have no other executives. So that stage is like being a GM, right? It's like being the GM in the box. There's air conditioning now. You're not in the rain anymore. You can see the whole field of play. Some of your most important work is actually done away from the field, not on the field anymore, right? It's a very different skill set, way more leverage. You're looking at a much longer horizon. And it's really intimidating for a lot of founders because they've gotten so good at the game. But what you find is when you can embrace that new role, you get your head up, you feel, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this GM thing, right? I'm actually pretty good at being a CEO once you know what that actually means. Fast forward through the next 2 just for the sake of time. But once you really succeed as CEO, it sets you up to become the true owner, to really own a business and not run it. That's stage 6, not stage 2, not stage 3. It's stage 6 in the process. And it requires each of the stages before it to be done properly. And last but not least, it's like being in the Hall of Fame, right? It's that visionary founder is what I call it, where you get back into the game just for the love of the game, right? You don't have to get another job. You don't have to own another job, right? You don't have to get back into the world of entrepreneurism to make your next buck. You're good. You get back into the world of entrepreneurism to help others to achieve their visions. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love this conversation. When I talk to people about scaling their company and where they want to be, a lot of people say they want to be the CEO, but then you start to ask them questions, and it becomes very clear to me you want to be the chairman of the board. And that's beautiful. I think that should be the goal, because that's why you started your business, right? For time freedom, financial freedom, whatever it may be. But we find ourselves most commonly at stage 2 and 3, basically, just from what I'm hearing you describe.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about, though, Well, before I ask that question, I just want to draw attention to your book. I put the website on the screen. It's down in the show notes below. I want to dive deeper into this. We don't have enough time, and I'm sure the listeners do too. So tell me a little bit about your book, and then I want to ask you that final question.
Yeah, so big promise with the book is we covers all 7 stages. So if you're like, I don't really know what stage I'm in, you can find yourself in there very quickly. It tells you about how you got into the stage, why you got into the stage. And here's the biggest thing. It tells you what to do in each stage. And by virtue of that, there's only 2 or 3 things, 5 at the most for the most complex stage. That means that all the other stuff that people tell you you need to do, all the other stuff you used to do that created success, you get to start letting go of all of that. And so by knowing the 2 or 3 things you need to do, you'll actually discover the 20 or 30 things that you're doing right now you don't need to do. And most folks, feedback I've gotten from folks who've read the book and really applied it in their life, they save an average of about 10 hours a week. 10 hours a week by just recognizing what they need to do right now. So you can get it for free, scalearchitects.com/founders.
I love it. Yeah, simple but backwards principle is the less you do, the more you can grow. Obviously, there has to be a structure around that, but it doesn't take more to build a bigger company. So super cool. Definitely go check out the book. Scott, thank you for making it free. So the question I was kind of leading to there was most of our audience is going to be between stages 3 and stages 4, where I find the biggest hurdle with people is really from going from 4 to 5, that transition to a true CEO where you have an executive leadership team. People still get caught up in the doing, the day-to-day execution and running of the company. What are, like, unpack a little bit. I know you can't go super in depth, but what are some of those key things that we need to transition, whether it's in our mindset, in what we're focused on doing, that will get you to that true CEO point?
The biggest thing is the biggest tactic is you need to shift from making policy decisions. This is what we're going to do, to people decisions. This is who I trust to make that decision. Massive, massive shift, right? To do that, you have to deal with the negative emotions that come along with it, right? And so the biggest challenge is not actually the tactics. Once folks understand where they are and what they need to do to move forward, and they are committed to it, they're emotionally committed to it. It takes some time, but it's really not that hard. It's just reps. What makes it so hard is that we give up, right? That coach on the sideline, I call it the disillusioned leader stage, because it's emotionally really, really difficult. Feels like it should be successful, right? Usually your business is the biggest it's ever been, but you feel like you're more dead than you've been in a long, or it sucks the joy out of you, sucks the life out of you. A really quick story on this. I'll shorten it. A couple years ago, when Top Gun Maverick came out, I had a chance to go and in a peak romantic endeavor, dinner and a movie with my wife. Right? It's remarkable, I know. But we went to see Top Gun Maverick, and we get to about 20 minutes left in the movie, and just about everything at this point that can go wrong has gone wrong. Right? Like Tom's been shot down a couple times. I think he was being chased by a helicopter. He doesn't have the girl yet. His former wingman's son is mad at him. He's relational issues. Everything has left him behind. Like everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. At least it feels that way. And so we get the call from the babysitter and have to leave like right away, go back to our kids. I didn't see the last 20 minutes of that movie for 2 years, right? And if you stop it there, it's just downright depressing. So the biggest problem that we have is that we stop the movie right there, right? In its lowest point, in its hardest moment, and we think, is this really worth it? Right? It's like these changes that I need to make, are they really worth it? Because it feels like it's just going to be more of the same. And when we understand that, one, that's the worst place to make that decision. And two, you are just one step away. It's the biggest transformation, but it's also the most remarkable. That one transition from stage 4 to stage 5, from disillusioned leader to chief executive, is the most remarkable. It's the most powerful. It's the most sustainable transition that you can make as a founder.
It makes complete sense, and I love the analogy too. I'm concerned about you. How did you make it 2 years without having the closure on that story? I mean, are you okay? Are you okay?
I got 3 kids, man. Like, we live life wide open. It was like, I can't even say that I got to watch it whenever it came out on, like, I think it was on Amazon or something like that. I still didn't have time to watch it. So I have seen it. It took me about 2 years to get there. I saw Tom save the day, and all was well. I'm a whole person now, but yeah, it's that's a little picture into my life at the moment.
I hear you. Yeah, I have little kids too. I know the feeling. There's no such thing as a complete movie anymore. Maybe we'll get there one day. I don't know. But until then, no, this is fantastic, Scott. I can't thank you enough for being here. But I love to end these episodes with a question, but a question from you to the listeners. And the whole reason behind that is we just believe here at What If that powerful questions get powerful answers. And I also want to make these episodes actionable. This is great information. If you do nothing with it, and you just click the next podcast episode, you've done yourself a disservice because there's so much gold here. And Scott absolutely had the ability to change your perspective. It's up to you to take action on it, though. So, first and foremost, go grab the book. But, Scott, here's the question. Based on what we talked about today, based on what you're talking about with scaling, especially going from 3 to 4 and 4 to 5, what is that powerful question that you want the listener to ask themselves until they get the answer based on this conversation?
The very first question, and this is always where I start with every single one of my clients, because none of the stages matter if you don't answer this question. And that is, what do you actually want? What do you actually want? Do you want to scale your business, or do you just feel like you have to, right? Are you borrowing someone else's goals? So once you understand what you want, walking the road to get there is very, very easy. But if you're walking the road that's taking you somewhere you don't want to go, you're going to fight it every step of the way. So my question for you is, what do you actually want for you, for your business, for your family? What do you want?
It's such a good question. I'm always surprised by the number of people who don't know the answer or have never asked the question. So thank you for that. And thank you for being here. This was great.
It's my pleasure.
For those of you watching, listening, wherever you are, first and foremost, the link to the book is in the show notes, along with the rest of Scott's links. You can go check him out online and on social media, but make sure you subscribe. We love bringing you these episodes 5 days a week so you can get out of that little box you find yourself in and get to that next level. And now we know what the levels are. Thanks to Scott. This is fantastic. We'll see you on the next episode of